everybody, welcome to JAIIB English Medium channel. I hope all of you are doing fine. Today in the increment series, we will be talking about the Indian economy and Indian financial system. As you know that module A of IFS, it has 11 units, and today we'll be covering the last unit of module A. So if you have not seen the previous lectures, it is a suggestion that you must go and watch all the 10 videos after this particular class is over. So we'll be talking about issues facing Indian economy in unit number 11. And when we say that it is one of such units in the module A where the data points are important. Fine. The discussion around this entire topic, this entire unit will be centered towards the theoretical topics, but ultimately the questions they ask, they are from the latest data. So in this particular session also, we will try to cover almost all the important data points so that you can have a particular set of data pointers in your notes readily available. So let's get started. First thing first, issues facing Indian economy. Now, all of you have studied various chapters of module A in which you must have read that how there is a contrast in our economy, how things are not going well in our Indian economy. We have read about the government initiatives which are required to sustain our economy. Government is doing every bit and it is being portrayed via the various government initiatives. But what about the issues which you might have observed? Do let me in the comment section. First and the foremost issue, which we have studied also indirectly in the economic planning chapter, that is unemployment. Fine. Our country is not producing the number of jobs that were expected out of a country having good demographic dividend. Then we also have poverty as one of the major issue. And when you look these two issues closely, you will find that they are interconnected. Like unemployment, if I say, it means what? You do not have job, fine. You do not have a stable income. If you do not have a stable income, then how you will be spending something? So your spending will be less, low spending. Once you are spending low, that means you do not have any funds at your disposal which you can save also. So your savings will also go for a toss. Less savings will be there. Now, as an individual with less saving, do you think that we'll be able to invest? So investment is also low. Okay, it starts off with the unemployment, joblessness in our country. Ultimately, you are having low investment. And once you have low investment, there won't be any new asset creation. New assets will not be created. And if there are no new assets created in your economy, then how you will be able to create more jobs? Because ultimately, the assets which you have created in the economy, it will provide new opportunities, new growth opportunities to the country, new growth opportunities to the individuals. Again, no jobs will be created, and you are stuck in this less or no income loop forever. Okay. So these issues, unemployment and poverty, I would say that they are integrated. It starts off with being unemployed, ultimately landing into that zone of poverty. Okay, so in this class, we will be taking the examples of COVID-19 to justify that yes, there was a slowdown in economic growth, there was unemployment and underemployment. Because right now, when we are sitting in 2026, you won't find these kind of discussions ongoing because we have surpassed that stage. So, slowdown in economic growth, it happened in COVID-19, wherein we saw the negative growth rate thanks to the lowest industrial output. The industrial output was not there, job losses were there. We were not able to, control the pandemic also at the health infrastructure level. So all these things clubbed together gave us a negative growth rate. And when we talk about the resurrection of our economy, then we were quick enough to identify the loopholes, and ultimately we got a strong rebound in 2021 with 9% of positive growth rate. And subsequently, we stabilized at around 7%. Right now, also in 2026, just yesterday only, NSO has given us the GDP numbers. It hovers around 7% itself. Next is the next issue which we face as a country is unemployment, where there are no job opportunities for you. And the second one is your underemployment, where there are jobs, fine, jobs are there, that's a silver lining, but they are not in line with your qualification. Fine. You are an engineer, fine, by qualification, educational qualification, you must be doing some technical jobs, but sadly we are not having that type of job market in our country. We are stuck in one job or the another, which is not at all in line with our qualification. Okay, so unemployment, no job; underemployment, jobs not in line with your qualification. The difference should be very much clear, because in IIBF, in the JAIIB examination per se, you will find one or two liner questions based on a small case study. Right? They will define a situation and you have to identify whether we are talking about unemployment or underemployment. Okay, so how can we justify that yes, this is an issue in our country? So via the data of COVID-19 only, because that is the latest pandemic which was responsible for our negative growth rate. So during that time, you will find 1.8 crore salaried jobs were lost, and the unemployment rate was around 7.4%. And then after a while, one official data was released by NSO's periodic labor force survey, PLFS. It publishes, or you can say updates the data for employment for your worker force participation workforce of your country regularly. So according to that particular data of year 21-22, the unemployment rate was 4.1%. So for sure we can say that during COVID era, the unemployment rate was 4.1% and we were not having jobs. In fact, we lost 1.8 crore jobs during that time. Then one interesting issue which we are facing as the Indian economy, it is the challenge in your agri and allied sector. So agri sector, the primary sector of your economy, once we got independence, we were very much sure that through self sufficiency of food products that revolved around the Green Revolution, our agriculture, or for that matter, the allied sector, will have the boom forever. It will blossom forever. But what happened? Our workforce in the country, more than 50% of our workforce, it is engaged in agricultural activities, agri sector, but the GDP numbers, right, the contribution in the GDP, it is much lesser than 16%. Fine. Right now, you can say approximately 16% is the contribution of your agri and allied activities in the overall GDP, which is not at all encouraging, given the fact that more than 50% of your population, of your workforce, is involved in this particular sector. Fine. So despite the recent growth in India's GDP, agricultural sector is not showing equivalent progress. Our government has tried. It has provided n number of subsidies to the farmers, plus provided various measures so that we can double our farmers' income. Nothing seems to be in line with this particular GDP growth number. As per the economic survey also, the agri-allied sectors in our country, it has experienced an average annual growth rate of just 4.6% over the past 6 years. Now just imagine, annual basis, what will be the number? Over the past 6 years, the average growth rate is only 4.6%. And when we talk about the current status, it is just 1.4%. The growth rate from the previous year, it is only 1.4%. which is disheartening. Fine, you won't be able to have the contribution towards GDP as more than 30% as it was there in 90s if you are having only 1.4% year on year growth in the agri-allied sector. The agriculture sector's contribution to India's GDP has shrunk over a period of time. Earlier, it was 35% in 1990-91, and now it has dipped to 15%. Lately, just you can say it grew by a whisker and became 16%. Okay, so issues which we are facing in the Indian economy, it's not only which we face on daily basis, which we read about on daily basis, but there are certain issues like this, like a particular sector being hit by recession kind of scenario, which we do not think, or for that matter we do not discuss that often, but that's a reality. Next is poverty elevation. Now, the issue is what? It is poverty. We have discussed the cyclical nature of this particular issue. Right? Poverty will remain till we have the unemployment in our country. Joblessness prevails, so does your poverty. So, how we can elevate the poverty? Government since 1960s has taken various steps. Garibi Hatao Andolan was also instated, but till now we are not able to elevate the poverty. What is elevation? To eradicate, to nullify, to have it gone from your particular region. So poverty elevation means you want to eradicate the poverty by one measure or the another. So it is the set of steps taken in an economic and humanitarian way to eradicate poverty in a country. So for our exam, what is important? It is the data point. Right? These data points are very, very important. Mark them highly important. You will have one question or the other from this particular topic. So according to the World Bank, if a person is living on $3 a day or less, this particular number you must remember, $3 a day or less, if a person is living, then he or she is living in extreme poverty. And right now when we talk about the poverty topic, 712 million people across the globe, they fall under the extreme poverty, which is huge. But for our exam, we must focus on the data of 2011 for our country, which states that 268 million people in India, they are surviving on less than 1.90 a day. We are talking about $3 a day. Here you will find 268 million people are surviving may way below than your $3 a day limit. And when you talk about 1.90 a day, it was the earlier, or you can say a limit of World Bank only, but in 2021-22. After that, it became to 2.15, and for our exam, we have to retain the latest number as $3 a day. So first data, $3 a day. Second data, 268 million people in India under extreme poverty. Third, the most important data is being published by the Planning Commission of India's 2011-12 estimates, which states that your rural population, which is under poverty, it is 25.7%, and 13.7% of your urban population is under the poverty line, below the poverty line. So data points which we must remember: US dollar 3 per day, extreme poverty, right? 3 per day or less. Then 268 million people in India under extreme poverty. Then rural population under poverty is 25.7% in our country. Urban population, which is under the poverty, fine, extreme poverty, living under extreme poverty, it is 13.7%. So these four data pointers you must remember. These are very, very important for your examination. Next, we have a discussion on jobless growth, whether our country is having this phenomena, the economic phenomena known as jobless growth or not. So what is this jobless growth phenomena? Simply stated, you are having good GDP growth. Fine, GDP growth is there in your economy, but jobs are not being created. Fine, your economy lacks in creation of job. GDP numbers are good, but joblessness prevails. Fine. So jobless growth, it is an economic phenomena in which economy grows while maintaining or lowering its employment level. And when we talk about the recent release of one particular data from ORF, Observer Research Foundation, jobless growth is just a myth. Fine, it is not a reality in our country. Why? Because the ORF claims that during 2016-17 to 2022-23, you will find that our country is having good GDP numbers, that is good economic growth. Along with that, the employment levels have also risen. Okay, so this proves that the jobless growth is no longer prevailing in our nation. And this ORF report, this ORF, you can say, data has been utilized by the PIB, Press Information Bureau also, and it has provided or published the same on its website. So, according to this data, contrary to the claims of jobless growth, the data shows that employment in India has increased by 36%. Right? So, employment has increased by 36% between 2016 and 2022-23. During the same time period, that is 16-17 and 22-23, the GDP numbers have also increased to 6.5%. So jobs have grown to 36% by 36%, and your average growth rate, GDP rate, has grown to 6.5%. Next, another data which you can utilize to claim that no longer in our country prevails this phenomena of jobless growth is the data from Periodic Labor Force Survey. The PLFS, it releases data on regular basis, as we were discussing in the last topic also. So the data is from 2017 to 2023. I think that the timeline is more or less same between these two reports. It also suggests that worker population ratio, the WPR, has increased by almost 26%. Right? So when will you find that WPR is increasing? The worker population ratio will increase only when the people having the jobs, the number of that particular set in your population, it increases. Worker population ratio. From your population, how many people are employed, how many of them are working. If this employed population rises, so will be your WPR, worker population ratio, will also increase. Okay, so yes, these are the two numbers which you should remember for the examination. 36% and 6.5% for your ORF data. For PLFS, you should remember it is almost 26%, the rise in WPR. Next issue which we face as an economy is the rising inequality. Now, when we talk about the inequalities, they are mainly two inequalities in our country. One is the income inequality, which we'll be studying here. The second one is the gender inequality. Fine, gender inequality, thanks to which we are lying at the bottom under your SDG goal 5. But yes, we have to work, have to work harder for achieving the parity in the gender, you can say, inclusion, and ultimately move towards the score of 90 in the SDG 5, where we are right now stuck at 49. Right. So in this chapter, our task is to study the income inequality. So inequality has been steadily increasing over past few decades, and it is especially pronounced after 1991 economic reforms. As the skilled individuals got the job opportunities thanks to the liberalization, privatization, and globalization of our economy, ultimately the income inequality, it grew. Why? Because people who were having the skills, they were now employed in line with their skills. But the people with no skills or minimum skills, they were not able to receive the proper remuneration, proper income opportunity was not there. So, in the World Inequality Report, the discussion of inequality is very often centered on disparities in consumption, how much you consume based on your income and your wealth. So, if you have income, then only you will consume something. And if you have income, then only you will save something, which will ultimately turn into what? Wealth over a period of time. Fine. So income inequality is at the center of this entire discussion. Now, when we talk about the top 10% of our population, they earn 57% of our national income, which is huge. Just imagine 10 people out of 100, just an imaginary situation, a country where 100 people live, we have 10 people earning 57% of the entire wealth of that country. Okay. And out of that, just look here, very elite top 1%. They earn 22% of the top 10%. So out of this 57%, we have further bifurcation also, that 22% of this 57% lies with the top 1%. And on the flip side, you will find that the poorest 50% of our country, they earn only 13% of the entire national income. Okay, 10% earning 57%, 50% earning only 13% of the entire national income. That is a huge disparity, right? So yes, this is the inequality which we face, and ultimately a number of issues in our Indian economy. But be clear in your mind that you practice all these questions, whatever we are displaying to you here, and ultimately try to retain the facts from them. Okay, if you want to have more discussion around such topics and you want to have one dedicated course to meet your needs of JAB exam preparation, then definitely you should consider our JAB Increment Mahapack. The details for which you can have after calling us on 0981 981 9247, where our team of experts will be guiding you that why you should choose Increment Mahapack, and in journal what should be your course of action while selecting a perfect course for your JAB preparation. Okay, so this was it for today's class. If you have any doubt regarding the lecture which we have taken today, feel free to ask me in the comment section. We'll see you guys in the next class. Till then, goodbye everybody, take care.